Don't sleep on Atomfall, and this is coming from someone who absolutely did until last week. Let me explain how a game that was barely on my radar became one of the most intriguing and enjoyable titles that I played at Gamescom. Atomfall is a single-player survival action game that plunges players in a mysterious nuclear quarantine zone in northern England. And as a southerner myself, I know it looks like they've really captured the true essence of the lands beyond the M25, but in actual fact we're in an alternate timeline following the real-life events of the 1957 Windscale disaster in Cumbria. In more detail, the disaster was a fire that lasted 3 days, releasing radioactive fallout across the UK and Europe at the Windscale nuclear reactor facility and plutonium production plant, and it remains, to this day, the UK's most serious nuclear-related accident. Now, the game begins 5 years after the accident within a quarantine zone that looks like any quaint little British countryside town that you'd find in the Lake District, but not everything is as it seems. You'll have to track down leads to figure out why you're there, how you got there, and who the hell you even are. The game is being developed by Rebellion, who are no strangers to satisfying combat as they're the masterminds behind the Sniper Elite games. However, Atomfall is less about gratifying nutshots and more about raw human survival in post-war Britain with a cricket bat. I'd forgive you for making comparisons with Fallout, but it certainly didn't play like a Fallout title. The devs have already cited Doctor Who, The Prisoner, and The Quatermass Experiment, all classic British sci-fi, as key inspirations for the game. Personally, I could see some resemblance to The Last of Us in terms of frustratingly scarce resources, which is not the point of view of a game, but it introduces a bit of a challenge for those of us who tend to go in guns blazing. Now, I was hooked immediately in the demo as I came across the quintessential British design icon, a red telephone box calling with a cryptic message. Unfortunately, this was also the first part that I felt ruined the immersion. See how it looks fairly neat, not one soliciting sticker featuring a scantily clad woman and a phone number, no graffiti, and it certainly doesn't look like it's endured layer upon layer of human urine. Just for fun, and maybe also because I'm annoying, I did check. Telephone kiosks first appeared in 1921, and this appears to be the K6 model, which rolled out in 1935, given the Windows lack of fluting and internal design. Okay, back to actually talking about the game. The first thing I did was see how the weapons fared in combat, and I failed miserably. Look, I had just demoed Sniper Elite Resistance, and I was not prepared to swap to slow melee swings. Sometimes 3 bullets, a bat, and a lot of pent-up short-person rage isn't enough. I decided to stick to stealth after that because, I'll be honest, the combat isn't the selling point of this game, or maybe it is, because I found out later that a big feature of the game is that you can choose to kill everyone or kill no one. You can avoid conflict entirely, you can pull out guns on unarmed enemies and they'll back off. You're supposed to be a regular person desperate to survive, not a trained marksman in their element. And you'll see a lot of that keep calm and carry on attitude, which I hate, but it is very British. And while this is a very different type of game, you can still definitely see influences from Sniper Elite, like with the interconnected maps, and I don't know the best way to describe it, but it's very classic for them to be like, here is where you need to go, but there's no wrong way to get there. It's like a more open linear experience. The selling point for me, personally, is that classic British sci-fi influence, which I love, the mystery that I want to solve. It's speculative fiction, you follow leads rather than quest markers, and it's up to you to decide which leads are worth your time. And it's up to you to decide how you survive your journey, peacefully or otherwise. I was genuinely quite sad that I couldn't progress much in the demo, like every landmark I tried to enter was not available. I also don't think I had access to the metal detector because that seems like another fun mechanic that I'd love to try. I'm not looking forward to all the cultish folk horror stuff, which is likely the reason I wrote it off in the first place. It is user error, I know, but I am a wuss. Unfortunately for me, I am a wuss who wants to know why I'm in the quarantine zone and how I got here. So if Atomfall has now piqued your interest as well, do remember that it's releasing in March 2025 on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X and S, PC, and it's coming day 1 to Game Pass. So it's a no-brainer for me. Hope you enjoyed the video, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.